Good morning and welcome to Trading with Larry. I hope everyone had a nice Thanksgiving long weekend. We're back at it. Crazy week. Crazy week. The week before Thanksgiving, the market actually had a down week. And then Thanksgiving, Monday was pretty crazy. Was that Monday or Tuesday? I think it was, no, it was Tuesday where we had the reversal of 100 and something handles. We reversed pretty massively, and that was the day that got this thing really moving. On the week, I think we were up 230 handles. We're down 45, and it feels like a crash, doesn't it? I don't know why, but it does.
Yeah, they didn't wait to fade the holiday move, which is usually the case.
Well, I think there's a lot of underlying currents out there that don't look really good. I think, Black Friday sales were horrific across the board. No one showed. And there's just a number of different things that are sketchy. I don't know what you did with your bond position, but bonds are right back to 406, really in the middle of nowhere, and again looking like they want a leg higher. um, that's something that I think you should keep on, everyone out there should keep on their radar screen. You were of this mantra that the Fed, the bonds are moving and the market's moving because the Fed is cutting. um, that's yet to be determined, and even if they do cut, I just don't see it being that significant. But again, we're early days here. Again, I mean, last week's move was very difficult to navigate for someone such as myself that likes to, be short the market. We had to do a lot of maneuvering, a lot of selling of gamma, and a lot of selling of put options, and covering our gamma, and we made it out alive, barely. And now we're on to this week, of which, I'm assuming they're going to try to buy the opening like they do every single day. But stocks to me, like I'll just say this: usually my Thanksgiving, you know, party, or we always do it at my house with a ton of people, and you can't stop these maniacs from talking about Bitcoin and Nvidia and all of these other things. And guess what? It
No
was
one talks
dead,
about it.
no, dead silent, dead silent, dead silent. So I that was surprising to me. No one could be talking about Bitcoin. It dropped 37% from high to low, which, believe it or not, is the same percentage as the stock market crash in 1987, was about 37%, maybe 38. So we had a 1987 style crash over a basically week and a half period, which, believe it or not, is worse for the market. And why it's worse for the market than, so the day of the crash, think about this. The day of the crash happens, it's Monday, Black Monday. If you missed work that day, or didn't buy that day, you were saved, because that was a one-day event. And then the market took a couple of days to bottom, and then went on its merry way. Here in Bitcoin, you were buying at 27,000, 23,000, 19,000, 15,000, 10,000, 105,000, 100,000, 95,000, 90,000. You had points in time to, as you would say, buy the dip. Okay, so everyone bought the dip. There were no stops until a week ago Monday, where you know it sat down there for 4 or 5 days. Okay, and now we're right back on the low, or near the low. We're 4,000 points from the low, basically, which is obtainable maybe by tomorrow. Maybe by tomorrow, depending on what the action looks like today. It looks horrendous. Gold. You got a 250 point rally. I wanted
just a
to ask you. I
just
wanted
a
to.
just a
What was
word
it?
about Bitcoin. Their CEO basically hinted that if need be, they may sell some Bitcoin to fund the dividends. So
Who? I didn't hear what you said.
I said that just a word about Bitcoin. The CEO basically, Fang Li, uh, said they may sell Bitcoin if it
Are
continues
you
to
talking
move.
about MicroStrategies? You said Bitcoin. You didn't say MicroStrategy. You kept saying Bitcoin might fund by selling. It's not Bitcoin. It's MicroStrategies
I
that
know it's not.
owns Bitcoin. So I I don't think they have to sell. I think all the Bitcoin that they own for cash, that they just issued stock to ridiculous shareholders that paid 2 and 3x premiums for him to buy Bitcoin, which is the craziest thing ever. Now the stock's trading near parity, meaning 1 to 1 with the price of Bitcoin. If you add up the stock price, the amount of coins, etc., it comes close to 1 to 1. So he doesn't have any reason to float stock. He can't be a buyer. He wasn't a buyer last week. I don't, you know what? You can go on. I think he files like a 8K or whatever today. I bet you he wasn't even a buyer last week. Isn't that crazy? He's buying it 125, but he can't buy it at 90 and 85 and
Yeah,
80.
never
So,
understood. Never got that.
so as a shareholder of that company, you know, you got to be a little bit disappointed in the situation because as a trader, you want to buy low and you want to sell high, right? So, you know, I'm not saying the stock is low by any means, but it's pretty much close to the year low that the stock has traded. The, the, I'm trying to find it here. Here we go. Yeah, we're right around the 52-week low, which is 166. Personally, I think it could blow through that today off of stops. So, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how Bitcoin holds up. Um, through the day. But there's a lot of cross currents today, and the U.S. equity market is actually holding up incredibly well, even though it's down 50. I mean, this thing should be down 150. I don't even understand what last week was. I mean, last week was just a dislocation in price, so that when we do come in here, we're not jeopardizing 6,500 on the S&P. And I'd be interested in trying to look over here at the VIX, but the VIX is up 10% this morning. It's only at 18. It's interesting because I thought VIX was too high coming into last week because of seasonality, and I actually think VIX is probably too low right now for the type of move we're going to have because I think we're back into that, skittish mode where people are, listen, I would bet you money that if the S&P, which I'm looking at it right now, is up, the S&P is up 15% for the year. If the S&P closed here at the end of the year, people are doing a dance. They're actually setting up the dance floor and they're dancing, okay? The third up year after being down massively and to end up double digit is pretty impressive. And I'm starting to see some estimates for next year, like Bank America says a flat year. If they're saying flat year, it's probably a down year because flat to them is like down. Like people are saying there's not a lot left. It'll be year 4, into an AI expansion that, I've discussed many times on this show that I think is overcooked as far as what's going to end up happening with AI. And, I was watching a lot of stuff on this AI expansion, and it's just incredible the amounts of dollars that are spent on data centers and resource and etc. So we'll see how all of that plays out. You know, and I did do at my Thanksgiving dinner like a roundabout the table in a way, asking my kids. I had other people there. how much money they spend a year on AI? And the answer was my answer, basically zero. So I don't know who's spending it and what. I know you're spending like $10 a month. You got to get a lot of $10 a month to get to a trillion. Um, so I'm not understanding how the revenue is there for these companies. And I think maybe in the first quarter of next year, it's going to come to bite people, what's going on here. And I would say another thing, if you look at Bitcoin, right, where was it when Trump was elected? 70,000? Where was Bitcoin? Like right around the election. I think it was like 70,000, 72, maybe something like that. I mean, we're not too far from there, are we?
Yeah, that trend line got broken big. And it happened so quick. I mean, it was just at 120 like a month and a half ago. Right.
Less than a month and a half ago. But
So
yes, yeah. Yeah, but you want to know what? I'm going to bring you back and you're going to get mad probably. I don't want to get you mad on a Monday, but you had this mantra, okay? When gold was up near the high at 4,400, 4,300, that all retail was buying, and that's the reason why it went down. And you think they got out, and now it's back to 4,300. So my question: are they back in? What? Tell me what the story is with that. Like
I think,
you really think they got out for a 7% move or an 8% move in gold? You really believe that?
yeah, I mean that's what the fund flows are showing, and when they come in, it's through the ETF, through GLD, and as soon as the fund flows came in, just as soon as they came out.
Okay. I mean, listen, I got you. I mean, I don't buy it, but I got you. Um, I don't think that's the case, but maybe. Um, so what do you think? So they bought them for less than 4 trading days. They sold them out, and now they're rebuying them. Like
Yeah,
I'm trying to.
you
Yes,
said it. In the middle of that drawdown, you're like, they looked at Nvidia going up, and they're like, "Why am I in gold?" So
I don't know. I mean, I think that's very short sighted, to think that where the same type of investor bought Bitcoin and watch it drop 37%. And what you saw in Bitcoin is you actually saw the selling and consolidation between 81 and 85. It sat between 81, and on this podcast, I was frustrated. It sat between 81 and 85 for 5 trading days. That's a consolidation and a liquidation. In gold, I didn't really see that. I saw a whoosh down. I didn't see a ton of selling. And then the market stabilized and went back up 300 points. So, again, you're the gold expert. I'm not really seeing, like, I don't know why it's up today. I don't know why it's down the next day. I don't know what they're looking at. You're telling me, bond yields are ticking up. I mean, fairly significantly today, up to 407 almost. And gold is still up. And if bonds tick up and yields tick down, gold could go up or down. So I have a hard time trading something that's not moving in what I consider a rational way. That's just me. I just don't see this moving rationally. Um, and it's hard to trade. Like Bitcoin to me right now is a kind of easier trade because it's risk on, risk off, right? Bitcoin is falling, and then either the S&P falls after Bitcoin or with Bitcoin or before Bitcoin. But Bitcoin's a risk on, risk off asset. Like gold, it's very hard to determine, what gold was doing because gold was actually selling off, okay, into strength in the market, and then it sold off more into weakness. It's a very hard read. I really want to trade gold because the moves have been very, very good. And, I was talking to a very good trader and a friend of mine, and he's saying to me, hey, look at gold, okay, and you'll see that gold stocks are very trendy. He's like, you can really pick up a lot with the gold stocks, with gold up. So, I'm going to start looking a little bit at some gold stocks here. Um,
What do you mean?
dollar,
They're pretty they're pretty correlated. I mean, what are you looking to find there? I'm
he's
curious.
saying, I'm not looking to find anything, but he's saying it's very hard to reverse them during the day when the trend is intact. So that's a good thing to pick up on, you know. Um, so I'm looking at it. I haven't made any trades there, but I'm looking at that, as something you could use day over day, just trading day over day. So looking at that. Interestingly enough, dollar euro is back above. It's at 116 and a half. We're long it. We've been long it for a really long time. We may have to get out at like 117 and change, take a profit just because this trade is taking forever. But if we look back at the dollar, not really against the yen, because I think the Japanese intervened at 159, 160, punched it back down to 154, which is still really dollar strength and yen weakness, which is like the reverse of what's going on in the euro and the British pound. The euro high in the year is like 119. So we may trend back to that high with massive dollar weakness. So I think there's a lot of underpinnings for, you know, some significant volatility in here. You can't really judge today. We're down 34. Do you know what they did on Friday? Were you trading on Friday?
Yeah.
So the S&P was up. First of all, the craziest thing happened. I don't know if people who are watching were trading futures or options on index. The exchange went down for 14 hours. Okay.
That
14
was,
hours
that was
without a
crazy.
trade.
That
Okay.
was pretty crazy.
Ridiculous. You're telling me the CME, the largest exchange in the world, doesn't have a co-locate where they could they make me duplicate everything in my office in a co-location, okay? Why don't they make the CME have a co-location? They just flip a button and now they're in, Kansas City, rather than sitting on Wacker in a fire in one of their data centers, and it was out all day. And I don't know if it was just they weren't rushing to get it back on because it was a half a day of trading and they got all screwed up. I'm not sure, but I
It
don't.
happened late Thursday night.
What?
It happened late Thursday night.
It actually happened. They opened the futures, never got to 8:15 to open the SPX, but the futures were not right from 7:30 on. They were like, I was looking at Nasdaq, they were like $8 wide. It just didn't look right. So the machines were broken, but it's funny because they were rallying Robinhood and IB, which have stocks that you could trade all night. They're completely illiquid and trading 100 lots, but they set the tone for where the market is, and they're buying up the market in 40 lot increments, 40 shares. They were buying and selling 40 shares of SPY because they could control the market. They dislocated the market. And then at the end of the day, they ran the market again, to close pretty much on the high. And today, we're sitting here and they're hoping that we rally because they hope every day that we rally. And we'll see what happens. I think Nvidia, it's funny, the talk of Thanksgiving and the talk of every day for the last 3 years is what stock? Nvidia. Well, Nvidia is $40 off the high of the year, which is more than 20%. So it's basically 20 plus percent off the high of the year. That's a bear market, right? 20 or more. So is Nvidia in a bear market? What is the story?
Yeah, I would say it's nearing that. But you take a look at Google, and Google's like the complete opposite.
Well,
So,
listen, that's part of I'll call it the scamella. That's the scamella. Okay.
well, that's
So,
a scam.
so,
Okay, it's a
so
scam, but that's been a scam
But
that
it,
has been
but it's Eric, and the day
that
Google is
was a scam
down,
that's
and the
been going on
day
since August 1st.
I
They've been
understand, but the day Google is I
it.
understand. And before that, it was Apple against Nvidia. Every day Apple was up, Nvidia was down. Every day Nvidia was down, Apple was up. Every day. They ran that scamella. Okay. One day they had Apple up 9 and Nvidia down 9 in the same day. Okay. That's not normal trading action. That's just a computer pushing, you know, algorithms to jam markets. But like you said, as in like you see Nvidia down, let's say 4%. It's down less today, but let's say on a day it's down 4%. The first thing me and you do, and I do it with two other guys that I talk to almost every day, what stock is up? When in the history of 40 years of trading would I ever go, Nvidia's down, so they're probably buying Meta or they're buying Apple or they're buying, I mean, come on. When is this whole thing going to unravel? Okay. And have everything down. Okay. Like it always was. Now it's not like that. Now they are going to find, like the first thing we do, I go to Touchdown T. What's up? Google's down today. Something's got to be up. Why though? That's what I'm asking you. Why? You know why? Because it's rigged to a computer algorithm that does the same thing all day. And then all of a sudden they turn it off and they'll go the other way. And the one time Nvidia was down 9 and Apple was up 9, within 2 days that trade reversed and went completely the other way. So who's doing this and why? That's the question. You know, who's doing it? Just wondering. I was wondering if you knew.
I don't know if it's all bots, and I think again, my
You
view
think
on
it's human beings. You think it's humans going, oh, okay, Nvidia's down. Let's buy blah, blah, blah. No, this is all algorithmic computers. This is all companies out there knowing that they could listen. Like, I'll tell you what happened on Tuesday. You ready? Nvidia traded 169.90. Okay. Crashing down $9.50. The S&P was positive. The NASDAQ was positive because of Google, Meta, Amazon, whatever. Then all of a sudden, what they get to do is they get to buy Nvidia. And if they buy Nvidia back $3, the market explodes. So that's the scamella. So they take one stock really down, they take another one really up. The one that's really up, they don't take down much, but they mean revert Nvidia $3.50, and you get the S&P up 100. So that's what they're able to do with this. And this is a pattern that is prevalent in the market, and you see it every day. This is every day. So I haven't looked what's up, but I'm sure out of the Mag 7, there's one or two up. It's just the way it is. And then they'll buy those stocks all day. If they want the market to reverse and go much higher, then they start buying the broken stock more and they still buy the one that's strong. So, we've seen this trade for a while. What do you think? Let's get to this because it's December 1, new month. I'm going to pin you down. Okay. It's hard to do, dude. You're a little squirrely. You don't like to give your full opinion. So I'm going to pin you down. Okay. Where do you think the S&P is going to close the year? There's basically probably 15 real trading days or 12 real trading days left. Where do you think the S&P is going to close on the year?
7,000.
Okay. I say the S&P is going to close at 66 or 6,500, and I think we may go lower than that and then come back at the very last week. I That's just what I think. I think the year, like I said, everyone, I mean, listen, I'm not a hedge fund manager today. I run an ETF and my newsletter, The Opportunistic Trader. But as an ex hedge fund manager, if I'm up a lot on the year coming into the last 2 weeks, I'm not trading. I'm getting paid. So I don't know who's out there trading, someone that's, trying to make their year in the last 2 weeks. But anyone that has their year in is kind of locked down. So you lose all of those guys. And really, if the market keeps going up, you don't look that good. You know what I'm saying? You don't look that good. So I'm thinking a little bit lower than here, maybe 3 to 4%. Maybe we end the year. I'm hoping we end the year up 10. But again, I don't know. You've been bantering around, 7,000. Now is that 7,000 on the cash? Because we're going to be rolling futures, and I think the second month future has got to be damn close to that. Where's the second month future? Can you pull that up?
A second month future. Yeah, I was talking about
All right.
cash, but
Okay, cash. Okay, that's fair. That's that's fair. Um, you know,
I don't think
I'm
it's a big move to 7,000. Right, we're pretty much almost there.
dude. It's 200 points. It's what 3.5%. I don't know. I mean,
I haven't looked at the second futures.
it doesn't matter. They got a lot of premium because there's a lot of carry with dividends in the price. So I'm sure
That's
it's
at 68.74.
what is it?
68.74.
Right.
The second
Right.
month.
Whatever. I mean, listen. I would just say this. Everybody is so confident that the market's going up that I'm a little bit leery. Um, I just see, like, I don't know. Does it feel like you're saying Google's big part of this move, right? But really, of the holding stocks, Nvidia is held by the public. Google is not really held by the public, I don't think. I mean, they obviously have it in their portfolio, but it's not like a true trader. Nvidia, everybody's sitting there scalping Nvidia or trying to make money in Nvidia every single day, you know? And, you know,
But do you think this move off the low has been all AI? I mean, I don't think that's the case. I think
I
it's
don't know if
been
it's been any AI. I mean, I listen, they move this market. Harry Houdini came into this market. Okay. They moved this market on air, literal air. And I don't know if you were around on Tuesday, right off the opening. What made Tuesday such an outsized up day was the gamma from the zero DTEs and everything. Because did you see what happened on the opening? Market opened, and you know what the SPOO did? It sold off 60 handles in 3 minutes. You saw that. It was insane. And then the market came back 60 plus another 110. So, that's probably the second biggest up day of the year. And that dislocated the markets and put us where we are now. So, this is where we are. And we'll see how, we're going to see how the day progresses, right? First thing is, can they hold? That'll be the first thing. We're trading, at 68.15. All we're down is basically what we went up on Friday. There's still Wednesday, Tuesday, and Monday, which were all up days. The market hasn't had a down day in 6 trading days after VIX went to 26 on Thursday. I don't know if you remember that. It's, a week in our markets are a long time ago, so I don't know if you forgot. But VIX traded 26 and the S&P was trending to 6,500 and they turned that on a dime, last week. So we'll see what the trading is. I mean, listen, there are clues out there that look really negative, okay? I mean, Bitcoin, you don't feel like that's negative action in Bitcoin right now?
I mean, I think the move in rates today is pretty interesting. And last night, as the market is falling, I'm just looking at Japan and JGBs, and those that rate is going
Straight
pretty
up.
crazy straight up. So I wonder if our U.S. Treasury rate has something to do with that today.
Maybe I would just say this. Japan has different leadership okay, that's much more aggressive. The old leadership in Japan thought by keeping rates negative, it would force people to invest in the stock market. It really backfired on them for 15 years. Okay. No one bought the market. People were actually putting money in negative rates, which obviously makes no rational sense, right? How does that make any rational sense? You want to give the Bank of Japan your money and pay them to keep it? But they were doing that because everyone was so scared of the market. Believe it or not, after they came off of zero and negative interest rates,
Well, it was all deflation. They had severe. I mean, that's what happens when you have severe deflation.
in the history of the markets, rates were never negative, okay? Until basically the 90s when these guys wanted to force people into the market. But negative rates make no sense. That's why, even as bad as things got in '08 or during COVID, they would they toyed with taking rates negative and they never did it. Okay. And the reason why they never did it was very obvious. It makes literally no sense. Why would you put your money in something negative? It just doesn't make sense. So either way, what's interesting is their market has done much better, right? Much better. And and their rates are going straight up fast. I mean, this is a fast move up. But I think Japan wants to get to the point where their people that are living there can buy bonds and retire and live off interest, and it makes sense, and they're in a different place. I just think, I don't know if you still have your bond position or whatever. I'm in the camp that I don't see why the Fed needs to do anything. I'm not saying they will or they won't. I'm saying they don't need to do anything. You've had a very positive jobs number. You've had, nothing showing severe weakness. Okay. And what they were worried about is job weakness, and that never came to be. So, my question to you is, why do they have to cut rates? Just a question, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you. The last jobs report was another blowout, but that was for September. I don't think we're ever going to get October numbers. By the way, that jobs report was interesting. It was a bunch of retail hiring and a lot of construction hiring. So we're seeing home builders off the lows. We're seeing a lot of sectors that have been beaten down really off the lows,
Right.
which again, it's like it's not just the AI trade here picking things up. Last week, it was a lot of stuff that you could call value, you could call just beaten down sectors that people have completely forgotten about. But what's interesting about what the Fed is going to do, number one, right now the odds are basically 100%, like literally at 100. So the market is 100% certain that we're going to get a rate cut December 10th.
I will tell you this. I will tell you this. If the Fed cuts rates, if the Fed cuts rates, it's going to be a major issue moving forward. That's what I think. It's what I talked about with you. Each one of these cuts is a golden bullet. Okay. It's a bullet that you don't want to use. You want to keep your gun loaded. You want to fake shoot it, whatever you got to do, but you don't want to use your bullets. And they've used two bullets and they're about to use three. That is going to be meaningless to the market. Okay. And meaningless to rates. You would think rates would be, coming in to 3.5, whatever, you know, even though Fed funds are going to be 3.5. Okay. It's gonna what let me ask you this: what's the Fed gonna do when rates back up to 4.5, 4.75 off of these cuts? They're gonna have
Yeah,
nothing to
I agree.
do.
They're kind of this is kind of feels like an unnecessary cut with the market basically at all time highs.
Well,
I think
I felt last month was
last
unnecessary.
month felt unnecessary as well.
Yeah, I
So
I think it
yeah,
was unnecessary last month. You know,
but
again,
be that as it may, they're doing it, and I think the market has been reacting off of that. You talk about what drives gold. And is there an indicator that kind of, that you could look at? I think the number one like indicator, the way that you look at it, like, for a clue, is in fact a rising yield curve. I've been saying it forever, and you have gold and the 210 spread here up top, but really what you got to look at is down here below. This is a rolling correlation of
Mhm.
gold and the 210 spread. And you can see like most of the year it's green. That's a correlation between the 210 and gold. So as the yield curve rises, as there's an expectation for Fed cuts, gold actually reacts very positively to that.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I mean, gold's already reacted. We you got a commodity up 60% on the year, 62%. It's like, now what do we do? You know, now what do we do? It was up last year, the year before. I believe, which I believe before. Um, it's overowned right now, and I think it's a little bit of a paper tiger. As long as the market's going up, nobody's going to liquidate. But if the market comes in, we, we're, you know, we're thinking the market will go down, and I'm
Right.
thinking
Yeah.
about,
Sometimes it does that, I think, because it's reacting to similar factors that stocks are reacting to. Stocks are going to react well to the thought that the Fed is going to cut rates. And in the short term, I think gold does the same. So when that expectation kind of goes down, you see a correlation, but then it just evaporates in like a day or two.
yeah. I mean, listen, I I I'm shorting gold. I don't. It's actually, I'm pissed because it just came in $20. Um, you know, it's I don't know. It
You want to
looks like
short? Why not short? Why not buy some SLV puts? I mean, the action in silver has been absolutely crazy. By the way, Thursday night when they shut off the CME, silver was making an all-time high, and then the CME shuts down. I was like, that's a funny coincidence.
yeah. I mean, we we'll have to keep an eye on it, and we'll you know I'm gonna try to short it. I'm now gonna wait for a bounce a little bit. Crude was up a lot last night off of the OPEC Plus meeting. Rejected that move and is heading lower. Um, it's funny. I'm watching this show, which I think is unbelievable, called Landman, uh, on Paramount. It's all about crude oil, taking it out of the ground, and it's funny, in the show they're talking about, if crude oil is under $70 a barrel, that they can't make money. Well, what happens when it's 57? They're losing their shirt. So I think they're pumping big time here, and OPEC is leaning on the market. So I'd like to see a washout, like 55, 56 is an area where I think you can maybe get long. Um, so we're talking bonds. Um, are you still in your bond position, or you got out of that?
I'm in it. I'm in it.
Okay. Dude, you're so confident. You didn't want to take 7, 10 bips. And that's big in this market. We haven't moved like 15 bips in months. So, you know, I I think it's going to back up. I wouldn't short it here for a trade, but I think it's going to back up. Um, so, I don't love that here. Dollar euro, we're long it, staying long it. We're going to look for 117 handle and then punt it out. Um, Gold, we're going to try to short it. S&Ps are, um, they don't look great to me, but they're going to try to rally because they do that every day. Um, that's just what you know.
I'm just looking at the straddle here. What do we got? 35?
I don't know. I didn't look at it today.
Yeah, about a 35-point straddle. What do you think?
I wouldn't sell that. I wouldn't sell that. But who
Yeah, you
knows? You
think
know.
we get a bigger move today? I mean, the market's already down pretty good.
Yeah.
Completely retraced the holiday move,
Over
so
five of these calls.
bears have that in their pocket.
I don't know what you're doing. Yeah. Um, I don't know. This is nothing, dude. We're down 40 handles and we're upticking, dude. Don't worry. We got 20 minutes to go and then the dance will go on again. You know they're going to try to buy it. They do it every day.
I'm
So
hoping
come on,
to
man.
get some breathing room on my put spreads today.
Oh, yeah. What put spreads?
I have. You want to know what I have?
I don't know. You said you want breathing room on your put spreads. I don't know.
Yeah, I have an
Good
in the
Lord.
money.
What are you
I have
doing?
some money put spreads, and I have out of the money. We need a rally, boy. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see today what happens. You know, it's funny. For Wednesday, the 6,700 puts are $7. That's like 110, 15 away. I mean, so they're expecting. You know, I think they're expecting a move here. You know, but who knows? Who knows? Anything else? Because we can wrap a little bit early. We can get ready for the opening.
I mean, what's your plan on Bitcoin? Are you out? You wanna? You're gonna
I'm
double dip
in. I'm
Bitcoin?
in. I'm in long term. I'm not happy. Um, but we'll see. We'll see if it holds this 85, 86 area, and we'll go from there. You know.
I'm watching EQT today. Um, Very interesting. Top of the range. Natural gas looks strong. Energy looks a little strong.
Hmm.
So I'm looking at EQT, Diamondback Energy. I'm in
Hmm.
those. Um, I'm just continuing to short Rigetti every chance I get.
Really?
That's my short piece in my book.
Wasn't that? Didn't you love that stock at one point?
No, never, never.
No, you
Shorting it
didn't
the whole
like it.
short Netflix, and I think we get a dip in home builders today. Could be a good re-entry point for people that may have missed the move off the low.
Right. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. Rigetti is, doesn't seem like it's moving a lot, does it?
I just don't know why it's trading above 10. To be honest with you,
I have no idea. No idea. Um, I listen. I don't trade these things. They're frauds. They'll go up like beam stocks. And you know what's funny though? And I want to close it on this because we're getting close to the opening. I don't want to keep us too long, but think about this. What is a meme stock? What is a meme stock? Think about like if you sat back and thought about like what a meme stock is. The thing that comes to my mind is a fraudulent stock that are being run up by a bunch of public customers that are all together in a chat room, jamming up stocks. You know, so I don't know. Again, I'll leave that to you. Um, but like, isn't a meme like if you look at the memes back, like during COVID, all those meme stocks are destroyed, all of them. I mean, pretty much all of them, right? So how is that a good thing that Rigetti's a meme stock? Or all these stocks are meme stocks.
I don't think I don't think they've entered the meme zone. Like to enter the
Okay.
meme zone, you gotta like. There's almost like a acknowledgement from everyone that we're just using this as a trading vehicle. I think with quantum computing stocks, people really bought into that narrative, and that's what people here in the U.S. specifically love to do is just trade narrative, trade ideas, you know, things like that. So I think they got caught up in that. And, once the CEO of Rigetti just basically acknowledged we're maybe at least a decade away from anything real.
Dude,
Um,
then my question is, how does it have a $9 billion market cap if they're not even in the ballpark?
yeah, that's my point. That's my point exactly.
It's it's crazy. But again, it's meme. Trade them when the meme is hot. Just go with the meme, right? I don't do that. I don't trade that. I know a lot of people watching the podcast do that. I don't. I try to stick to very big, tight, stocks that are, basically, you know, um, you know, legit or fairly legit. I don't know much about Rigetti, but anyway, I don't know if you want to close on anything. We'll watch the market. For me, I'm watching the market, see if it can hold. If it doesn't hold, maybe we like lower. But the chances are, they want to buy them. So if they're wrong buying them out of the gate, maybe there's a second leg down, take out the lows and get some trading in here. It's interesting. You talked a little about Japan. Japan had a very negative day today. It was down 1,000. Okay, a couple of percent. Europe is getting smashed. Basically, DAX is down 1.20%. And you know, that's the thought today. I'm looking to short gold, maybe buy crude, get out of the dollar if the dollar gets a little weaker for a good profit. And It's a little scary after the up move that we had that the the DAX is down 1% and change. The MIB is down, 1% and change. And, these European markets are getting hit. And it's interesting. It's funny. At the beginning of the year, everyone shifted their money out of the US and bought Europe. Remember that? And the DAX was up 25% for the year in the first quarter. It's only up 17% for the year, and we're up 16. So we were down 30 or 20 in SPOOs. Okay. Now we're up 16. We went up 35% and they went down 5. That's what's happened over the last 6 months. And by the way, I'll leave you guys with this. Last month, believe it or not, was an up month in S&P, making it the ninth, I think, up month. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, um, and November. So eight straight up months for the S&P futures, my people. So it
The
does go
record
down,
is
but
11. The
eight
record is
up
11.
months. That's pretty impressive. So I don't know what you want to leave
11
us on.
months is the
Let me
record.
close this up. Nothing to say.
I said 11 months is the record.
I don't even know. That I have zero idea. Are you making that up or you know that?
I know that.
Okay. That's pretty sick. So we're setting world world records, and it's funny because the general, the general used to be IBM when I was trading on the floor. That was the general. That was the stock that was the most important stock. Every single day, everyone would go, "Where's IBM trading? Where's IBM?" Every day. And obviously that changed. Intel was a leader, believe it or not, at one point. The general right now is Nvidia, right? That's the most owned stock in the world by far. It's got 25 billion shares outstanding. Everyone owns it, and it's not doing well in a market that's basically at a record high. Isn't that a little concerning to you? No?
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
con-
Well, listen, here's what I would leave you with. I think I gave you guys a lot of good trading ideas today. I wouldn't touch the straddle or, you know, or around the straddle. I may do something if we have a decent move either way on the wing side, part of an iron condor. Um, but be a little bit leery. Everybody's very comfortable buying the market here. So just be a little bit careful and, we'll see if the market can hold. And I wish everyone good luck trading. And we'll be to everybody at the Opportunistic Trader. Look for your inbox at the Opportunistic Trader app to see all the trades that we're doing. Peace. Have a great day.